Afternoon, everybody.
Hey, John. David Moore, Dallas Morning News.
David.
We've been asking you what you see in Aubrey. I guess we got a little look at that yesterday, just as far as why you're so high on him, and just talk a little bit about his performance too.
Yeah, he had a great day, and I think it's a culmination of everything we've been working on with the operation, the timing. The more reps he gets at it, I think the better he's going to get. And there's still little tiny things that are taking a fine-tooth comb through to continue to tighten it up. But he has great talent, obviously. It doesn't take a big swing to hit the ball very far. So what I love about him is he's just kind of a natural swinger. Hasn't been overcoached because he hasn't been a kicker that long, which I think there's a huge positive in that. And I respect that too. Sometimes you could get too much, he just goes out there and kicks it. So I will give a lot of kudos to Brian Anger and Trent Sieg too. I mean, those two veteran guys, really, the battery of the operation is really good with the snapping and the holding part. So Brandon is just, he just kind of goes along with what they tell him sometimes.
Did you see the New England Patriots block field goal last?
Absolutely. Yeah, I was at home and it got me off my couch for the. Oh, yay!
What do you think about the guy having the guy in motion and I'm not take a running start? I guess.
Yeah, it was great. It's been done before, but it's been years. I mean, it might be 10 years since I've seen a creeper on a field goal block before, and they clearly had an indicator. You just match up what your indicator is with how far the run's going to be, and they timed it up really good, which the first one they got blocked. And the second one maybe spooked the kicker a little bit because, the first one you felt the kicker kind of feels it if he doesn't see it. And so, it's a great play when you have the indicator, which they go off of, which I know what it was, but it was good. Great play. Great play. You'll probably see more of it.
Go put in your back pocket.
Yeah.
Todd Archer of the ESPN. When did Aubrey get on your radar? And how did he get on your radar?
Yeah, I think it's a great question. And really, it's 2023 in the USFL. The year before, I didn't study him as much in 2022. But then once this spring and the summer was happening, we went and looked at 22. And then I jumped on a flight out to Birmingham June 11th and snuck out there to watch a football game I've been playing. So it was a little bit of a stealth operation that Will McClay and everybody kind of set up, and it was hot that day. But anyways, I got out there in pregame warm-ups, and I might have snuck down onto the field and just got a closer feel for the sound of it and the look of it. Nobody knew we were coming, but he was on our radar just from this past season. As we were looking for a kicker. The draft came and went. We didn't get anybody, and so I think the goal for our whole organization was to find hopefully a longer-term answer. And you're taking a chance for sure, because there's not a lot of tape on him except for at that point it was about a season and a half worth of USFL film. But there's clearly some leg talent there, and we just wanted to see if we could get him into camp and see what it looked like.
Wearing cowboy gear at this thing, or
Nope, absolutely not. No.
Mustache.
Yeah. No, I tried to hide out a little bit, but I think the punter for Birmingham, who used to be at the Broncos, recognized me or somehow in pregame warm-ups. I think he told Brandon that I was there, but I didn't. But I tried to stay out of the way. I don't know. Maybe a tall, skinny, ugly guy stands out. I don't know.
With obviously soccer and football, right? Are there mechanics involved that carry over, or is it just a different thing altogether? I know the run-up is obviously different. You've talked about that before.
I think it's just the swing. Remember when I had Zerline? Zerline was a heck of a high school soccer player, like probably most kickers are. But Brandon's soccer background is way more significant than anybody I've been a part of. Janikowski, I always go back to him. He was a big-time soccer player before he went to college. So there's something about those guys that have powerful soccer legs that can translate to the NFL as long as, and I say this carefully, but as long as you don't overcoach them. I mean, I know my job is to coach them, but I also know my job is not to overcoach them. So there's a balance there that I try to find with all the players, not just kickers. But But I also don't want to, we still got a long ways to go with him, and that's coach speak and all that. It's 2 games. If he was 4 for 7 instead of 7 for 7, I still say, hey, we got a young kicker that's got some talent, some ability, and we got to keep tightening some things up. So, I think it's exciting to know that also he can, hit 16 touchbacks in 2 weeks just to preserve some of our core bodies, some collisions. So there's part of that too that's a benefit.
Calvin Watkins, Dallas Morning News. The fake punt, what happened there with you guys?
Yeah, that's a good one. It became 4th in inches, and I had 5 seconds I was caught between 2 calls, and I made one with our punt return personnel. We were going to rush it. We gapped it all out, knowing we might have been a little bit light on our gap out rush, and they got it. And 3 downs later, it was the same exact situation, so I just switched our personnel and basically called the same exact play with a little bit different personnel, and they punted it. So that was totally a miss on my part, just on a play call.
Is Turpin overthinking things sometimes on these returns? It looks as if he's like, man, I just missed it on some of these things.
I don't think, honestly, I know what you're alluding to, but I don't think so. The first one where maybe on the TV copy it looked like he should have returned it, but we were in defensive stay. We were in personnel that wasn't going to be a return. So he was actually smart on fair catching a ball where we didn't have any blocking help except for outside. And he could have, and I talked to him, I said, you might have caught it and gotten 10 yards, which would be good because the ball got punted so far. But it was an okay call because we didn't have the personnel on the field to return the football. And then we had the personnel on the field to return the football, and that's why he held the next fair catch a little bit longer than maybe he should have. But I respect his decision-making because he's not forcing returns. Even though it's frustrating to not have any kickoff returns and not have any punt returns, that's what teams are going to do is try to negate him. But his job is to not force it. If it's not there, fair catching. We'll take the ball right there. So I'll just continue to talk to him about, making sound decisions and not forcing it. And I think he's done that in 2 games, although it's frustrating not to get some work for sure.
Hey, Bones. Patrick Walker, DallasCowboys.com. I posed this question to you in training camp, but I'm curious 2 weeks in where you are with this now. In the offseason, you lose 2 special teams aces, Noah Brown and lead special teams tackling Luke Gifford. I asked in training camp, how are you feeling about the progression of these young guys stepping into those roles? First game, obviously blocked by Wanya Thomas. Noah steps in immediately and is explosive with that return. But 2 weeks in, how are you feeling as far as those roles being replaced?
I think so far it's been kind of by committee, especially at receiver. Noah was up the first game, and then Jalen Tolbert kind of took over that Noah Brown role, kind of, and made a great play. Then all of a sudden, Brandon Cooks goes down, and so Jalen Brooks is now up. So it's kind of been by committee so far with Noah, Jalen Tolbert, Noah. Wanya Thomas has been more of the Noah Brown replacement than an actual receiver, kind of the core body, personal protector spot. So it doesn't necessarily matter, maybe your question, Brad, a couple weeks ago, is it by position? Not necessarily, it's kind of by body type. And so Noah Brown was kind of a Wanya Thomas body type, and Jalen Tolbert and Jalen Brooks are more of the Kelvin Joseph, Noah, body type. I'm talking about Noah our new Noah, not Noah Brown. So it's more by body type, but Iggy, yeah. I didn't want to go there with the last name yet. So I think it's still by committee. Wanya's got a very significant role. Marquise Bell is playing a huge significant role. Where last year he was kind of just coming up, and we're kind of figuring out exactly the strengths for his spots. So we have a really young special teams, which is awesome. You got Hunter Lepke. We're still learning about who's played every snap on special teams. Schoonmaker's played almost every snap on special teams. Wanya Thomas, Jalen Brooks last week played every snap on special teams. So what a great kind of proving grounds for some of these young guys just to get out there and mix it up and play. And Jalen Tolbert, I think, has become a better receiver because he's mixed it up on special teams all training camp and in the first game, and just lets him just go play.
Justin Mars, Pro Football Network coach, I'm glad you just brought up Jalen Brooks. I was about to ask you, what was your analysis of him getting that opportunity this week?
Yeah, it was really cool. Really cool. I think the guys in the special teams meeting room have a lot of respect for him, and he was so excited. So it's always cool. In our meeting this morning, we showed Jalen Brooks' first NFL play, and we just kind of celebrated Jalen Brooks. Everybody, they're excited for him, and I think it's cool to celebrate a man's first NFL action, especially if it comes on special teams. So we recognize that every week whenever somebody plays their first rep, and I think he's got a lot of game too. You know, whether he's up or whether he's down is going to depend on the health of the five guys in front. But when he is activated, he'll play a significant role on special teams, and he'll probably become a very contributing receiver at some point during the season, like all these guys do.
Cool. Dave Lofberg, Cowboys Radio. I don't know how many years you gotta go back, but teams did not fake punt, and now you gotta be ready at any time. They're at their own 19.
Yeah.
And so, how do you approach that in the sense of saying, you know, before it'd be, hey, you keep your defense on, but you're not gonna keep them on, obviously, down there.
Yeah.
So what do you tell your guys on that team?
On the punt return side?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think when we make a call where it's the punt return personnel, they got to play the punt return game. And then that's up to me where I made the mistake where 4th and inches, you know, put the defense on the field. You're not playing the punt return game. You're playing let's just change possession game. And I think, you know, if we get into the games where we have, you know, 17, 24-point leads, you know, it's up to me to just say, hey, let's play the change of possession game and just get the ball back, keep our defense on the field if it's 4th and 3 or less. And, you know, they're going to probably net 50 yards on the punt, and so we don't get to play as much. But
Yeah, and I'm not intimating that you should have your defense.
yeah, no, yeah.
But what do you tell your guys, like, in terms of always be ready for what?
For direct snaps to PPs, where they call it the gut, where they just did it, what they did to us, or they go off wing. So our punt return personnel, we're very much in tune with listening to cadence, little indicators like the Patriots had on their field goal block, anything that might hint at a potential fake. You know, our ears and eyes are alive for. You know, PPs have cadences, indicators. Wings have, you know, cadences and indicators, and even punters do sometimes too. So there's a lot for them to gather information on a punt return play before the ball even gets snapped. And so we're working on that. You know, for the young guys to be not only in tune with exactly what I got to do, but kind of what is kind of happening out here too.
Michael Gelking, Dallas Morning News. Mike King, Brian Anger, you guys facing a pretty dangerous returner, as we saw Monday night. How did you feel like you guys were able to have such an effective night containing that part of the game?
Yeah. Yeah, good question, Michael. We actually didn't change anything with Anger and his punting. We wanted him to just do what he does, but we made certain emphasis with our coverage on how we want to, I don't want to use the word contain their punt returner, but how to attack and coverage their punt returner, because he was really unique with his ability to reverse field, you know, and that's how he scored. Really, he started one way, and the whole coverage side, you know, undercut everything, and it got back over the top for the touchdown. So there's certain things in coverage that we really emphasized that we do every week. You know, some guys are more like vertical, strong tackle breakers, and some guys are more, you know, bounce and reverse field and kind of go on their own to the sideways type guys. So every week there's an emphasis in coverage based on the returner without us necessarily changing how we punt it.
What kind of start to the season do you feel Brian is having, and also can you maybe elaborate a little bit on just what it means for Brandon to have someone so experienced and Brian at his side?
Yeah, I think Brian's had a great start to the season. He missed hit one yesterday. So he had 3 punts. He had 2 very good punts. 1 he missed hit. Then the Giants game, I think, I don't know how many punts we had, maybe 5 or whatever, and he had 4 good hits. So he's missed 1 each game, but his good hits have been really good hits. But I think Anger's smart enough to know that punting is my role, but holding and mentoring our young kicker, I think he's really taken to, which has really been cool to see Brian kind of step up, where he's been in charge of some of the timing mechanics of the operation. Not only like the ball being snapped, but hey, you know, hang on a little bit. We got a little bit of time here. Hey, we got to hustle up, you know, just to let Brandon kind of stay in his zone and let Brandon kind of follow Brian's lead, which has been great to have once they go across the lines. You know, I'm out of it, and Brian kind of takes over. So it's been great to have a veteran holder and snapper. You know, Trent has been really good, man. That's a huge part of the battery of the specialist is, you know, the veteran guys that work together.
You don't have anything else?
Sorry for being too wordy, just good old football talk, huh?